welcome, my friends, to another episode of Sprinkle Happiness. Today's conversation is something I was really looking forward to because health and physical well being is one of the spire elements. And I have brought an expert, and let's just hear it from the expert herself what her perspective is on happiness and well being and why we feel sometimes off. What kind of signals is our bodies telling us? So, welcome, Dr. Cammy. Dr. Cammy, so nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just what's exciting for me and perfect for me is the fact that I was born 53 years ago at 1 o'clock, which is the time right now on April 29th. And I was like, it just was the perfect time to be on the happiness podcast for me. I was
Oh,
like, what a way to celebrate my birthday.
what a privilege to be here with you exactly on your birthday, on your 50th birthday, to the time, like to the
Right.
minute.
To the minute, right.
So, what does the universe trying to tell you, Cammy?
Oh gosh, I am in the best years of my life. I feel like, the first 50 years was the work and the figuring out and the trials and tribulations, and I'm a very big energy, so I feel like there's less of the swings of big lessons, and I can always see the beauty in it. And so in my second half of my life, I'm calling in the grace and the ease and being able to pull into wisdom and that knowing of how everything in the past that seemed so rough at times always was conspiring for my highest good.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
trust that completely. So I'm very excited to be going into, like I said, I'm 53 right now. And definitely since I turned 50, it's been a whole big shift of this trajectory of just love, trust, faith, and the things that seem big now, like they're actually pretty small. Like they would have been way bigger to me like 10 years ago or a bigger issue. And I'm so thankful to be able to go into each of those challenges with this whole different perspective. And it's like, your life is always going to bring waves, but I'm surfing it much more like with ease now than I was before.
Everything makes sense looking back, doesn't it?
Sure does.
I feel so guided. All the challenges, it sucks at the moment, but looking back, they end up being your biggest lessons and blessings. I can so relate to what you just shared.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Green Light by Matthew McConaughey.
Yes,
If
yes,
you
I have.
For those of you who haven't read it, I definitely recommend getting the Audible because he reads it himself. And it's really just about that, looking back on all these hard things. If you go into it with open heart and trusting that, again, the universe or God or source, is here to teach you, is here to support you, that you can always see why you had to go through that challenge. And but it's in a very funny way. Of course, it's Matthew McConaughey and that awesome voice of his. So I definitely recommend that to the listeners out there. It's finding the joy in all the challenges for
Yeah,
sure.
I gotta listen to it again. It's been years and years and years. But Dr. Kami, you are a board certified family physician, and you so beautifully blend the traditional medicine with holistic medicine. And I really look forward to hearing your perspective on not just treating the symptoms when something goes on with ourselves and how we feel and what's going on in our body, but looking at the whole person.
hmm Well, I for people to understand, I think it matters to hear the background, what brought me into medicine. I grew up without much money or access to, like, I was the first one to go to college in my family. I have brilliant people, but that's just the culture I grew up in was not very much into college. And I decided to go to medical school last minute. And part of it was that we didn't have access to care. So, and my mom is a wonderful mother. Thank God she's still alive and doing great. She's a wonderful mother, but she was taught how to mother in a very industrialized way. So in her generation, it was, formula was promoted, breastfeeding was like, oh, this is gross. This is not what you should
Mhm.
do. Or Gerber baby food was this is scientifically proven to feed your baby. And they didn't really know how to feed. You know what I'm saying? It's the industrialization of
Mhm.
mother. So she did the very
Mhm.
best she knew based upon her education. But because we didn't have access to medicine, what inspired me was that I want to teach people how to take care of themselves. and to not have to depend on the medical system for common
Yeah.
things. Thank God for
Yes.
the medical system. I'm not anti the medical system completely. I'm against a lot of the stuff in it, but I'm not against conventional medicine. I use conventional medicine all the time. What I want to teach people is to not to depend on the conventional medicine for their health.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Is our current medical system is built for acute care, like emergencies, like broken bones, surgeries, car accidents. Thankful that we live here. But for health, it is not really built towards supporting health. So when I went to medical school, my goal was to teach people how to be like inspired to know their bodies, to feel their bodies. And that was like, I didn't come from a holistic family. My family smoked. We drank,
Yes.
sodas, like fast food, microwave food. There was nothing holistic about my childhood. Uh, so then I was like, okay, so how can I teach? And that inspired me to learn about nutrition, herbal medicine. And then as time went through, my own children and myself, we had I like to call them medical misadventures. So it was like struggles with the conventional system, and we had issues that were not actually helped by the conventional system. So then I had to step outside. So I had to look for functional medicine, homeopathy, nutrition, all the things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world of medicine out there. And
Mhm.
what I understand, I don't know if you've ever seen I need to someday like actually get it on my phone, but there's like the wavelengths of all the different lights. There's infrared and there's ultraviolet and there's the visible light spectrum. There's this spectrum here. And that little tiny sliver is like the rainbow. And that's all we see in conventional medicine.
Mhm.
But there's real medicine is like this whole spectrum of stuff that we can't even see.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is that the more I'm learning, the more there is to learn. And there's so many modalities that can support people in their journey. And what works for you might not work for me. And so we're able to heal my children through functional medicine and homeopathy and all. So then that inspired me to build my own business. So it's Benton Integrative Medicine, where it's a monthly concierge holistic primary care, but we also have functional medicine, longevity medicine. So we have all these different modalities to meet people where they are, because not everyone's ready
Yeah.
to believe in all that. They're like, "Oh, I don't know, what's that over there?"
Yeah.
But what really brings all of them together is the fact that I want people to understand that their bodies are meant to heal, and that there are so many choices out there to help support their healing journey.
Mhm.
And it's empowering. I feel like my experience in the conventional medical system is very paternalistic, like, I know better than you, you don't really know. And it could have been that was my experience, that God raised me in to see the shadow side, and maybe other people's experiences are not that at all. But I believe my experiences were there to help me create this new clinic for a different purpose. So my experiences were that shadow side is like, when this thing happened, they're like, oh no, it can't be that. Or when my child was healed completely from an incurable autoimmune disease after 6 months, they're like, oh no, it couldn't be that. Maybe we were wrong. I was like, that's interesting. So then, like, learning the power of placebo, for instance,
Oh,
like,
yes.
we learned in medicine, oh, it's just the placebo. It's
Yeah.
just a placebo. Hello,
So
placebo means
powerful.
40 to 50% of the people can be healed just because you told them they're going to get better. Like,
Yes.
that's without training. So then what could it be like if we actually really see ourselves as whole, complete beings and healthy, and that we can heal?
Mhm.
My mind is mind blowing. And it's that shift in my experience, which I had to experience. I'm very thankful for my medical degree. Part of me is like, I probably would have been a better naturopath or osteopathic doctor, but really God put me here through this conventional path because I had to see the different
Yes.
gifts of them. And so then I can truly integrate it for people's healing journeys.
Mm.
As I learned more, I remembered at first when I finally discovered that there was a whole, like, I went at first, I'm like, something's not right here. It's like, this is stressful. I feel like I'm just keeping people sick and barely, like, prescribing to treat this side effect. And then that one causes another side effect. I'm like,
Mhm.
I remember in my first year of practice, I'm like, there's got to be something more to medicine. This cannot be it. And
Yeah.
so then, like I said, but I was working so much, and, medical school, it's like 12 years. Like, you go 12 years of school after high school, right? So you're already older when you finish. So I feel like that does not inspire a lot of doctors to go digging more because they're like tired from learning. And I'm just like, something's not right here, but I don't know,
Mhm.
where do I go? So then as things were brought into my awareness, I was able to like, wow, there's all these other modalities. And then I was like, so to my patients, I'm like, all right, y'all, I know I can't help you now, but I'm learning. Stay tuned. And
That
I would
is
just,
so awesome.
yeah, there.
Dr.
And
Tammy, how do you empower your patients to take charge of their health? I'm totally agree with you. I don't believe in this cookie cutter system, one size fits all. I really love personalized medicine because everybody's body is different, the genes are different, the experience, the lifestyle. Sometimes it just needs a little shift in lifestyle. So where do you begin?
oh, when I was in regular medicine, a regular clinic, we were taught, well, they'll never change. Don't waste your time on all the lifestyle stuff. And we were trained that it was, and I don't think that the people who taught me that meant anything bad by it. It's just that was their training and their experience. And really, we got like 10 to 15 minutes per patient to impact their health short term, right? And so, where is it that you could actually even have time for that? But
Mhm.
I would say the earlier years, I was like, there's a way to do better. Like I would end up running behind and things like that. And I would try to teach them where I could. And then when they would start getting better with the natural remedies, and by the way, it's not just herbals and nutrition. I would study old grandma's old remedies you know, that we were taught to dismiss, actually were really often quite effective.
Uh-huh.
The wisdom
Yes.
is the wisdom of the medicine woman. And I'd like to add that is like recognizing that the woman is the medicine woman of the house. Like the
Yes.
mothers know the medicine.
I love
And
it.
that was something that in the conventional system we were taught to dismiss. Like, oh, they're just a worried mom and they're just too involved. To no, they're the medicine woman of the house. So you'd bring these things in and it would suddenly start getting better. You're like, all right, so if that works, what else could work for you? How can we get you off the medicines? And I think it's really, most people don't really want to go to the doctor every 3 months and add more pills. Like most
No.
people don't really want to do that, yet our training is to not believe that. So that's when I shifted my mind about what was possible. And then the patients that they were ready to expand, they followed me. The patients that were like, "Oh, she's too weird. I just want my pill for everything." They
Mhm.
would go to someone who was practicing medicine that way. So really my whole practice shifted according to my what the energy I put out and the belief system that I put out, the faith, the hope that I put out. And then
Mhm.
over time, so when I opened up my own practice after 10 years in a conventional setting in a corporation, opened my own practice and I filled up in a month and a half because people were
Wow.
willing to step outside the insurance system. They're like, this is not working. I want something better. And then really, I have since attracted very health minded people who are like, they too have hit their wall with the conventional system. They're sick all the time and they want to get better. So these are the people who do want to get better. And there are some people who really have a lot of faith and belief system in prescriptions and pharma and the conventional system, and they're happy with it. They're happy there. Like they don't want to do something else. And for some people, it's interesting. It's a social thing. Like I would remember some people, they just love to come there because that was their thing that they did. It was just,
Mhm.
and there that makes them happy,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I was just able to shift away and create a different system. So we spend like 45 minutes to an hour with every patient, sometimes more if needed. And then that time where I listen to them, I listen to their struggles, I listen to their relationship issues, the issues with their parents or their struggles with work and all that, they feel heard. So when they feel heard and I believe them, and I have compassion for them. They trust me. And then I give them options. That's it.
Mhm.
I just give
What
them
are the
options.
options? So for those of our listeners who are very new in holistic medicine and they come to you with a complaint, what options do you give them? Where do you begin?
Um, it's honestly, first I go to the most basic non-medical thing. Are you outside at all? Touch the earth, feel the sun on your
I love
skin.
it.
Are
I
you
love it.
sleeping according to your circadian rhythm? Do you go to sleep at 10 or 11, get up at 6 or 7? Are you exercising? Are you moving your body? Or are you sitting in a chair all day under fluorescent lights? What's your relationships like at home? Do you feel
Oh, I
joy?
love it.
Yeah.
In just 2 seconds, Dr. Kama, you hit on all the spire elements that we've been studying. Dr. Tala Ben Shahar is teaching us on the five elements. You just in 2 seconds. That's the
Nice.
secret of not just happiness, but also health. The
Yes.
physical, emotional, intellectual, the relational. the spiritual, all of that. And how can you make a judgment without looking at all those elements? No wonder people feel off. They feel off because one of those elements is out of whack.
Exactly. Exactly. You can't have health and be disconnected from your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're stuck in a hole in a basement and you never see the sun and you don't have healthy interactions, you're not going to be healthy. It just
Yes.
is not compatible with real life and living, like conscious living, right? There's robotic living, but there's conscious living.
Yes.
And that's where we start.
Yes. And when people go to the doctor for a symptom, from based on my experience, I don't remember the doctor asking me on these different areas of my life where I may be struggling. I'm sharing with you a big complaint, an ache or a discomfort, but why is it happening? Let's get to the root cause of it. Maybe it's an emotional pain. I'm carrying it with myself. Maybe it's trauma. I don't know.
Right. So then you go on, of course, I'm trained in functional medicine and some nutrition. I've done like longevity medicine training and all those things. So there's definitely those aspects. And of course there's the Q things because we are also on primary care. So we have some people come in with strep throat or urinary tract infections. But even then you're like some people who come in with their current issues, what's off? What's not
Mhm.
right? Are you sick all the time? Could you be in mold? So then you look really for the environmental toxins. Or you have a moldy house? Do you not um, do you have a lot of like right now we're living in a toxic soup with like flame retardants in our furniture and formaldehyde in the flooring, and you have all this stuff. And the truth is that it's going to be all around us anyway, but how do we become more resilient to those?
Mhm.
um that everyone's really going through. And we have the, like you said, we have the different genetics that sets us up. Some people don't tolerate it versus others. But then I still really so I did years of functional medicine and I found that like 80% of the people got better just by fixing their diet and
Mhm.
there's those things, those top things that you're talking about. The happiness is the health, the very foundations. We fixed that and honestly most people got better.
Yes.
Like the 15% of people, they're like, oh, they took it a little bit longer, a little bit more nuanced. We had to treat maybe with some antibiotics or herbal antibiotics for things. And then about 5% of the people, I never got better. I'm like, why are they, what is it I'm missing here? And the more I dug into it, it was usually something spiritual trauma,
Mhm.
abuse, sexual assault, ongoing spousal abuse. I mean, just feeling disconnected, lack of community. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I help this person? Right.
Yes.
Because
What do you
when
do?
I was,
What do you
so when
suggest?
I was, so that's when I was, it's funny in functional medicine, they always have to have this wheel and they talk about I guess the environment, your gut health, your nervous system, all these things. And in the middle was spirit, but they didn't actually give us a lecture on spirit or anything like that. I'm like,
You
okay,
don't study that in medical school, do you?
right, like, this is,
Mhm.
like, not even in integrative training. I'm like, "Okay, so what
Mhm.
is there?" So that's when I'm like, "Alright, I'm gonna go on a journey." And myself, of course, I had my own significant life challenges that I was benefiting. So everything I have in my office is really my own journey that I went through. So there are things like, and again, so here, so many modalities. So somatic experiencing was one. I love somatic experiencing where, because I grew up in the South where we are conflict avoiders. We always have to be happy and you don't want to be, you know, too mean because someone could perceive you as that. I mean, it was just interesting. You had to like always have a happy face, and that's the right thing to do. So my therapist called me toxically optimistic because I could always see the bright thing about every hard thing. But what I was doing, I was suppressing a lot of emotions and I
Mhm.
judged the negative emotions like the anger, sadness, anxieties, or whatever. And I learned, okay, well, it's actually natural to have fear if you're in an abusive relationship. Stop medicating fear. So in the conventional system, when I was coming aware, I was like having the people with stressors and abusive situations, and they wanted Prozac for their abusive situation. I'm like, well, we don't want to dampen that effect. We want you to feel your fear so that gets you out of that dangerous situation. We don't want to blunt your emotions because those emotions actually serve a purpose. It's
Mhm.
sitting in the emotion or not paying attention to the emotion that's the pathology.
It's a signal, don't you think?
Yeah, it's speaking to our bodies, right? Somatic experiencing. I actually worked with a shaman that she's actually a psychiatrist turned shaman. She's incredible at Mammoth Hills, and she's out of Idaho. She's incredible. So I went through all these different modalities, all that helped to shape my view of the world and the view of what I had to offer. So then you're like, well, how can I be happy, genuinely happy? Because again, it was kind of funny. She called me toxically optimistic. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can see the best of anything no matter what. But if I'm really going through a trauma, I need to be able to understand, I'm like, wow, this is real. It's really important to feel the sadness or
Yeah.
feel the grief or feel it. It's just how can I feel it fully and let it go through me and
Mm-hmm.
not get stuck in my body. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like all these modalities basically help me to understand. So then as I experienced all these modalities myself, then I had a referral network to send my patients to heal. And then and some were not ready to heal, I found. But that's how I've kind of used had to learn is like real healing is spiritual. I feel like almost everything is spiritual. You can even find certain conditions that you think is acute, but is actually really spiritual. I mean, I've experienced that in my life
You
too.
just you just triggered a question when you shared, not everybody is ready to heal. Who are those people not ready to heal? And you would think, who would not be ready? Who would
Mm.
not be ready to, like, who enjoys having all these negative emotions? We all want to let go. I think it's art. It's art to let go, to be able to let go. It requires a lot of wisdom and knowledge. So how can you support these people on their journey to let go?
Some of them, their traumas were so big, they're afraid if they let it out, they'll fall apart.
Mm,
They've held themselves together with glue, and if they pull it back out, they're like, I might not survive. Right.
mm,
So they put their heart wall up. And some of that is, I think there's the legitimate 3D nature of the fact that some people have financial limitations that they can't afford I feel like everything out there right now is so expensive. The economy is so intense for people right now. And so going to spend $200 or $300 a session feels overwhelming to them for some people.
mhm.
Or it's not just one session. Like I probably spent tens of thousands of dollars in my healing journey. Like I was blessed to be a doctor I had connections and um, I was blessed to be able to go through this. But I know some people, they can barely afford to see me, right? Or they can
Mhm.
barely afford to pay groceries. How do you really support people in economic like dire straits there?
Mhm.
Uh, and some of that is also still by choice. The more we understand energy, the more we're choosing that life to keep us in that restricted space. And that has been part of my own journey too, is that because I grew up without much money, even business wise, I realized I kept myself always on the edge of broke, on the edge of I can barely make it from. I mean, there were times I could barely make payroll, and even though I'm a doctor in my business. And
Mhm.
then I realized it took me to having a spiritual ceremony in Mexico. And I was like, why is it I'm still struggling after this long? I have enough patience. I have enough we have a wait list. Why am I struggling? And then,
Correct. We call it the internal thermostat, always keeping it at a certain
right. So I
temperature.
realized that because I grew up poor, I was afraid they wouldn't love me if I became wealthy or I became abundant because my thing that I still attached myself to with them was our sense of struggle. And as soon as I recognized that, all of a sudden my entire finances changed. I've been a
Mhm.
whole now because we are more abundant, we're able to expand our services, serve more people. We have a certain percentage of patients that are charity patients. And all I did was shift my mindset and
Yes,
understand.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. But I sometimes feel like it's also an addiction to those negative feelings because,
Mhm.
it becomes part of your identity and you're just spot on. People feel like they will lose a part of themselves they were identifying with for so long.
Well, it's
So
funny.
long.
It's our nervous system is entrained to that frequency. So I have a friend of mine, precious. I mean, an incredible human. She has a blessed life. She is full of compassion. But sometimes she'll go into, and she said she'll go into social media to find out all the horrible things that are happening because she feels it's her sense of responsibility to know all the bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I asked her, I was like, well, what are you accomplishing by that? She's like, I don't know. I just need to know what's happening out there because my life is so good. I need to keep a reality check. Really, what she's doing, my opinion, is that her nervous system grew up in that kind of nervous system when she was a child, and that's where her nervous system kind of feels at home. Even though she's made an amazing life, she feels the need to, that's her dopamine, that's her
Yeah.
addiction to feeling, going back to her nervous system, that even though she knows it's terrible and dysfunctional, that she knows what it's like and it feels like home in a sense.
Yes, yes.
Fascinating, right?
So, question, Dr. Cammy, if if physical well-being, health is one of the spire elements of whole being, happiness, is happiness even possible without being really healthy? There's so many people struggling, having disease, and some of them do an amazing job staying optimistic and hopeful. But
Right.
if people are not taking care of your body, like from not sleeping, junk food, and all.
There's this whole yes, there's this whole spectrum of, yes, I think it's hard to be really happy and to have joy when you don't have health.
Mm.
And I did have a patient that was dying from ALS, that for those of you who don't know, that's when you slowly become totally paralyzed until you die. There's also the element of surrender in chronic disease states, or like cancer or end of life, like inevitable options where you can surrender completely and find true happiness, right? So I think it is a both and. I think if we're having, I think it's hard when you're dealing with chronic disease and you're just going through living life and you're having all these things. It's hard to be happy.
Yes, I agree.
But there is that end of life. So something happens that's kind of magical when there's an inevitable death coming, that I do believe that God gives us that infusion of pure love, pure surrender, that when people can really give it all up and to see the beauty of the world, that yes, I do believe that they can find happiness, but it usually is more the end of life,
Yes.
kind of situation.
But
And
I
it's like
think
you
the
said, a lot
body
of
does.
optimism. Sorry.
The, no, sorry. No, the body does keep its score. Like if you're not healthy, I mean, your body is gonna tell you, give you a signal, hey, something is off, and you're gonna feel off. You're gonna feel something is off that you cannot ignore.
Without giving too much detail, I had a challenge for the last 6 years. And it had to do with in the conventional system. I just is a medical board situation that was actually not based in truth, and it started in end of 2020 during COVID era, and then they were, it was like a series of domino effects. I never actually got reported by anyone or had any bad outcomes or anything like that. But because of the politics at the time, something happened. It got put here, and then the lawyer's like, "Oh, you just want to like make sure you agree to it because it'll be worse if you fight it." And you're like, "Really? Is that the right thing? Because it's actually not true, and this is actually not truth." They're like, "Oh, this is just the way it is. This
Yeah.
is there's nothing you could do." And I'm like, and it felt very helpless. And then that created a domino. I mean, all the way down. I'm like, this is like a nightmare. So 6 years, I'm still dealing with it. And further down the domino effect, something came through, and it was like the same thing based upon this, based upon this, based upon this, right? I'm like, I'm done with lawyers. I'm not going to, like, I'm done. I'm not agreeing. This is simply not true. And so 4 times I signed the agreement under duress. I'm like, I'm not going to agree to this. I'll sign it, but it's actually literally not true. I can show you where it's not true. Here's the truth. And they're like, I don't know. You better sign it. You have to willingly sign this. I'm like, I'm not going to sign it. Like, no. So this was like just happened in February. So January, March, over the last year and a half, I've had Lyme disease. I had appendicitis. I ended up with mono. I had this brain fog. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this feels like it's a spiritual message to me, and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm on the side, it's like, maybe I need to retire. Maybe I need to just get out of medicine. I don't even know. It just felt overwhelming. So the 4th time, the last time was March, and the lawyer said, "Are you sure? You need to sign this, or we're going to have a hearing actually scheduled this morning on my birthday." And I'm like, you know what? Bring it on, because I literally can prove to you this is not true. Like
Mm-hmm.
here's tangible evidence is not true. Bring it on. I'm happy to have a hearing, right? So then I use Chat GPT to help me prepare for the hearing, help me remove my anger, help me remove my victim story, and just sit in truth. And it practiced lawyer lessons with me. I'm like,
Wow, it's so
yeah.
amazing.
So then I switched over to Claude. I'm like, all right, well, Claude's better at legal stuff. So I had it practice with me. So April 8th, I was still going back and forth. And finally, Claude says, "You're ready." So I went over to Chat GPT and said, "You're ready." I'm like, whoa, like back to back. Both AI said, I'm ready. 7 minutes later, I got that case dismissed.
Ah,
7 minutes later. And then guess what else happened after that? My brain fog lifted, all my symptoms were gone. And I'm not even done with it. But what it did was because part of the lesson was like, when I was like, but the lawyer told me to do this. They're like, stop blaming it on the lawyer. You signed, you agreed. It's
yes,
not their fault. It's your responsibility. I'm like, I had to take radical responsibility. So I'm like, you know what? I feel empowered because I know the truth. It was based on an actual lie that they just to rush and put it underneath the rug, got me to agree to. But those lawyers are also in the system where
yes.
they follow the rules, they follow the algorithms, just like in medicine. So
Mhm.
now I'm taking a whole different legal approach that I'm doing myself through Claude AI. I've created my whole legal thing, and I'm going to go and I am detached from the outcome because I know I'm living in truth. My body feels light. I have
Yes.
no pain. My brain
Yes.
is fine. So when you think about the sheer level of destruction that was happening to my body because I was giving my sovereignty over to someone who knew better than me. Well, they're the lawyers. I'm not. They must
You
know.
just
Well,
trust. You just trust.
you just trust. And no, and I knew it felt, I was like, this is not even right. No, no. You live in your truth. You live in like our intuition is God speaking.
I
It
was
simply is
just
God
going to
speaking.
ask you, your brain or your gut? Every time I feel like I listen to my brain instead of my gut, I just make a mistake.
Right. Right.
I do. Listen to your gut.
Listen
Like
to
your
your
gut
gut.
knows. It has the wisdom. It has, I think it's my hallucination. It even has the wisdom of your ancestors.
I truly believe that.
It
I
is.
actually believe it's God. I think it's God within us speaking through our gut. It is
Mhm.
absolutely the brain is here, it's the noise, it's the assumption, it's the conditioning, it's the what we're told we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to behave, how we're supposed to show up in the world. The intuition is our inner knowing. It is the
Yes,
truth.
it's our inner knowing. So, Dr. Kami, two or three things. Share with our listeners two or three things they can and should do every single day that would take their physical health and their emotional well-being to the next level every day. Something simple.
Stop social media
Oh, yes. Thank you for that.
and the media, social media and the media. It is
Mhm.
just there to divide us and to create chaos. Number one.
Mhm.
Two, go outside barefoot in the
Ah,
morning, first thing.
yes.
And eat real food.
Oh, I feel guilty. I had waffle this morning. Please, God, forgive
Girl,
me.
there's some junk foods out there that I love, and I'm from the South. I love a fried bologna sandwich that I eat once a year. Like I eat once a year. It's delicious. I love a fried bologna sandwich, but I
My
can't do that all the
my
time, right?
professor, Dr. Shahar, oh, he would say, give yourself permission to be human. I
Right.
have full permission to be human, and I am full permission not to be perfect.
Right. There is no perfect.
Yeah, there is no perfect. So if somebody feels off and misaligned, what would be the first thing you would suggest to people? Hydrate more, exercise, nature. I really love that you pointed out nature because that's something we studied in class is really the oneness with nature.
Well, for those, ideally, still, you go out in the nature and sit alone with no cell phone, no one to talk to. If you can't
Mm.
afford the time for nature, because I understand people live in the cities and things like that, it's creating a sanctuary for yourself in your home. We actually have we have the meditation room that we call it, and the kids love. They'll just go sit in there and just lay there. They just know the energy is there just to be, and so just be. We're
Mm.
amazing human doings, but we are inherently human beings, and just to be, and it's not about quietening your mind because I'm a very kinetic person. I don't meditate well. My meditation is dance, it's gardening, it's something kinetic. Some people can meditate and actually travel. My husband can transport in people's meditations. He's incredible. And I look at him the longest time I was like, oh, I wish I could sit there and meditate like him. I don't, I can't. So now I've learned a new system of where I work with a sort of an altar, a mesa that represents symbols for me. So that way it's more kinetic for my brain. And so I work through there and I pray to God. I bring in Jesus. I bring in, the angels and I'm like, all right, and just be, or I've got this problem, like help clear my path. It's
Mhm.
uh just clear my path, or gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that I have. And I list the things that I have. It's the practice of gratitude,
Yes.
being alone without other distractions for just
Mhm.
10 minutes a day. That can
Love
shift
it.
your whole day.
I love it. Thank you for the reminder how important it is to just be. We are so became human doings that we forgot how to be anymore.
Mm,
And especially now in the AI and technology world, people constantly feel this FOMO, always feeling like they are missing things out or they are behind or the competition so much far ahead. I should have been so much far. I used to always create. And every time I catch myself doing more, I feel off. I feel off. I'm like, you know what? I want to slow down. Like anybody listening, if you're asking me one secret to happiness, it's not doing more, it's doing less.
right.
Less busy, be less busy. Just be more. Enjoy. Slow down to time because we don't know how much time we have left on this earth. We have no freaking idea how many days we have left. Why rush? Don't rush through life. Enjoy it every single day.
And for those of you who feel like you can't slow down, it is worth a serious question of why you feel like you have to be so busy. A lot of our self-worth is tied towards our how much we can produce. And that comes from a very early age. And reminding ourselves that God, the universe, source, whatever you want to call it, you're put here because you're already worth being here. You're already worthy. And so doing more is not going to increase your self-worth. All it's going to do is detract from your time that you need to spend with your family or with yourself or with nature. Now, obviously, we have to do some doing because we have to work, we have to do the things, but we have to feed our family. But even that, turn it into ceremony. Like the work that I do is ceremony. I have ceremony with my patients. When I work with them, when I have staff meetings, it's ceremony for me with my staff.
Love
When you
it.
cook dinner and you have dinner at home, it's ceremony. And treating your life as if it's ceremony, if it's
Mhm.
sacred, will change the energy of everything you go through. And if that job is not aligned for you, change your job. There, I
Yeah.
can promise you there's enough jobs out there.
Yes.
There are people looking for good quality workers everywhere,
Yes.
right?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Absolutely agree with you. So
Right.
so beautiful. You just so you ritualize it. So it became you kind of you can make your habit into a ritual. Habit is a chore, it's a must do. A ritual is something you look forward to.
But
Like
like I said, even my staff meetings, like when there's an issue, let's say there's an irate patient, I actually work with the nurse practitioners. I'm like, why is that patient irate? What's behind that? You can actually just look at them. Oh, there's the crazy patient. But usually it's a scared mother for their child. Their nervous system's dysregulated and they don't know how to reach out in a way of love. And it's just trying to protect their kid. That's it. It's not
yes,
that it's not personal,
yes.
right? And then when my nurse practitioner can feel like, oh, is this personal? You know, I'm not saying specific, but that's a general, like make sure that nurse practitioner, it's not personal. But how are you showing up and how are you reflecting compassion to this person struggling? Now, it
Mhm.
might mean that that person still does not align with the clinic and that they need to go because they are not safe in this clinic, right?
Yes,
But we can still send them on their own journey with love, even if they're disruptive, even if they're angry, because they're suffering.
yes,
Right? As long as we can bring them into a safe place and we can actually communicate and say, hey, let's support you in your nervous system. That's medicine. It's ceremony. It's all
yes.
ceremony.
I love it. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, Dr. Cammy. What a privilege to have you here today.
Thank you so much for me being able to celebrate my birthday on the Happiness Podcast. I mean,
Yes, happy,
who
happy.
figures there?
My goodness, you made so many people happy with just being here. Thank you so much for this amazing time with you, and I really look forward to the next chat.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.